Stella, please read, if you could read the call, please.
Notice of joint public workshop of the City Commission and the Brownsville Public Utilities Board and a special meeting of the City Commission. Pursuant to Chapter 551, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Open Meetings Act, notice is hereby given that the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, in accordance with Article 5, Section 12 of the Charter of said city, will convene a joint workshop with the Brownsville Public Utilities Board on Tuesday, December 12, 2006, at 4:30 p.m., an executive session at 5:30 p.m., and a special City Commission meeting at 6 p.m. in the Commission chambers on the second floor of the Brownsville City Hall Federal Building, located at 1001 East Elizabeth Street, Brownsville, Cameron County, Texas. Joint workshop item A, discussion regarding an amendment to ordinance number 2005-983-Z that modifies the current rate structure by reducing the current rates for general water and sanitary sewer wastewater services for residential customers and implements other necessary modifications to the existing rate design consistent with existing legal obligations and as permitted by applicable governing law.
Hello, Bill.
All right, just for the record, since we only have 3 members of the PUB board, we're not going to call the board meeting of PUB. Should another member arrive to constitute a quorum, then we'll open the meeting on behalf of the PUB board of directors at that point. Is that right, Mr. Rodriguez? All right, go ahead, John.
Mayor, if you sit with the PUB board and we have a quorum, does that constitute a quorum for them?
Not for them. We have 3, we need another one.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. We did have a meeting with you last week regarding adjusting rates, looking at different scenarios to reduce rates for lower class users. Based on our discussion last week, we've worked on several different scenarios at the request of the Commission. Leandro Garcia, our Chief Financial Officer, is going to present those tonight and hopefully get some direction from the Commission on how do we want to proceed on that. So with that, I'll start. Leandro?
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners, members of PUB Board. My name is Leandro Garcia. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for Brownsville PUB. We'll be going over some statistics on water and wastewater users, and then going over some potential options. Some of these options, some of these numbers are for illustrative purposes only, so we can gain a better understanding of the range of possible options we have.
This is the same presentation from last night, right?
It's been revised a little bit.
Okay.
Yes, but it is the same. Yes, sir. Our overall objectives, we've been asked to come to the table with some potential alternatives for providing water and wastewater residential rate relief. We have opportunities from several scenarios that you'll see where we can take advantage and maintain or provide for some rate class adjustments. That our objective, of course, is to maintain some revenue neutrality and comply with all our bond covenants and find some acceptance or do a presentation, a follow-up, report to rating agencies, and hopefully find that acceptable to where we do maintain our favorable positive outlook on our bonds. What we've done is we've done an internal study. Some of my staff has gone back and looked at some of the statistics and come up with some rate class adjustments that we'll be going over. We have visited with our financial advisor, Noe Hinojosa and Larry Jordan from Estado Hinojosa. And then we're going to also have our consultant that did the cost of service, Wacom Beach, review some of our methodologies or models and see if they can find ways to improve and kind of validate what we're doing. Today we're having a joint workshop, and hopefully if there's some consensus or some defined plan of action, we can seek some board action from the BPUB board and then from the City Commission. I'm going to begin here with giving you some general characteristics of our water users. At this time, over the last 12 months, on an average, we have residential, and I'll have we have some block rates for water. So the left column shows the different block rates or the different ranges at which we build our customers, and on the columns to the right, we have the number of customers that fall within those ranges and the percentage makeup. Just to go over some of these numbers, we have 6,549 customers that are currently, or on an average, that currently use between 0 and 3,000 gallons of water a month. This represents 17% of our customer base. We have 20,521 customers that use between 3,001 and 9,000 gallons a month. This represents another 54%, or a 71% when you combine the first two tiers, the 6,500 and the 20,000. Between 9,001 and 16,000, we have another 8,010, or another 21%. So all in all, 92% of our customers use under 16,000 gallons a month. We do have a few customers, 2,700, that use over 16,000. That represents 88%. And then, of course, we have some commercial customers, 3,958, that fall under a different rate structure. What I'm going to be showing here is some options on that left column based on the blocks, and then based on different scenarios, and then the columns headings on the top, we show the different blocks that we just discussed in the previous chart. Our current rates, we have 4 tiers. Between 0 and 3,000, we bill currently at $1.68 per 1,000 gallons. This produces an average bill, just the base rate piece alone, without the customer service charge, of about $5.04. Between 3,001 and 9,000, we bill at a rate of $1.86 per 1,000 gallons. Average bill is $16.20. Between 9,001 and 16,000, the rate for that block is $1.93, with an average bill, when you include the full 16,000 gallons, is $29.71. And then anything over 16,000, we bill at $2.90, which produces an average bill of $41.31. As you can see, we structured the rate design where the more you use, the more you pay. Our initial objective when this cost of service and rate design were completed was to promote conservation and to bill at a higher rate for the higher users. Some of our plans here, of course, are to concentrate on the first 2 blocks, which is where, as I mentioned earlier, 71% of our customer base falls on concerning with regards to consumption use. First option here is provides for one of the requests or the thresholds or the target that we've been asked to try to achieve here is to roll back the 8% that we increased rates by back in October 2005. What we're trying to do here with option 1 is to provide relief to those 71% customers that use under 9,000 gallons. If we were to reduce the first and second blocks by 8%, we in essence would be going from 168 to 155 and from 186 to 171 on the second block. Of course, the bill change you can see there as well, going from 504 to 465 and from 1620 to 1491. If we if we keep the upper 2 blocks unchanged in 193 and 290, they also experience a small decrease because they also benefit from the first 2 block adjustments. So the bills there for the second and third, or a user at 16,000 would be 2842, and a user over 16,000 at an average of 20,000 is what we're calculating at. As explained in the footnote, would be $40.02. So a little reduction from the 41. This would potentially result in a $411,000 revenue shortfall for the utility if we were to implement an 8% rate decrease for the first 2 tiers. This next option, as I mentioned earlier, one of our objectives, of course, is to achieve revenue neutrality and maintain a balanced budget and comply with all the combined covenants. If we were to keep the 8% rate reduction for the first 2 tiers, here again leaving those rates at 155 and 171, and try to recoup from the upper 2 tiers, the residential, the third and fourth block, if we were to, on a percentage basis, do it evenly, 22%, 21%, this could result in an increase on that third tier from going from 193 to 235, and on the fourth tier from 290 to 350. or as I mentioned, 22% and 21% for each tier respectively. An increase in bills, of course, would be going from $29.71 to $31.36 on that third tier, and from $41.31 to $45.36 average bill for the 20,000 gallon user, or for that 16,000 plus. This would result in a zero impact or maintain as revenue neutral. A third option would be to continue our efforts in trying to achieve conservation. And of course, this could be a win-win situation. The more we conserve, the less we have to treat and less capacity. Hopefully you would think it would impact our treatment requirements, our demand on a daily basis or a peak basis. Our third option would be, of course, we would keep the first two tiers with the 8% reduction and impact the fourth tier to recoup the shortfall in the 411,000 revenues. This would require an increase from 290 to 422, which is a 45% increase, but it's only a $4 increase going from 41.31 to 45.30 on a monthly average bill. And here again, the reason it's only 45.30 is because here again, that end user is benefiting from the 8% decrease, and then of course from leaving the third block unchanged at 193. So this third option again would achieve revenue neutrality. A fourth option that could be considered would be to shift the revenue shortfall to our commercial users or non-residential users. On this fourth option, we leave the 8% on the first and second block, leave the third and fourth unchanged, and try to recoup that 411 from residential customers, non-residential customers. We estimate an increase of 13%, or going from 192 to 217 for these commercial customers. And here again, as I mentioned, we have 3,958 commercial customers, and one thing we probably need to get back with you is how many or what the average bill on that would be. And these are hard to predict because they're kind of all over the range, and we don't have an average use of commercial customer use. Any questions up to this point? On the wastewater side, general characteristics, we have 36,348 customers billed with 20,000 or less gallons of sewer a month. This represents 96% of our customer base, and 1,519 over 20,000 or 4%. And one of the reasons we set, for illustrative purposes here, the 20,000 threshold is because at this time we do not bill residential customers for anything, any sewer flows over 20,000. We have a cap of 20,000, yet we do have some customers that experience flows over 20,000. That was built into our rate design, and the numbers that you'll be seeing here, although wastewater bills on 80% of water, the numbers here represent that 80% and adjusted for that 80%. We have currently just one rate for all residential users, $3.40 per 1,000 gallons, with a cap of 20,000 gallons a month. An average bill for somebody with wastewater flows of 8,000 is about $27.20. At 20,000, about $68, and then 25,000, $68 as well, because we cap it at 20. So whether you use 20, 25, or 50,000 wastewater flows, we cap it at 20, so an average bill would be $68. Option one, here again, our target was to try to roll back that 5% rate increase from October 2005. If we were to extend that 5% decrease to everyone, because we have just one rate, we would be looking at $3.23 per 1,000 gallons. And you can see the corresponding bills at the different levels. At 8,000, it dropped from 27 to 25. At 20,000, from 68 to 64. And at 25, if we remove the cap, and this option does remove the cap, would allow us to bill for or for wastewater flows over 20,000, we could resolve with somebody at 25,000 being billed at $80.75. So this would give us a benefit of,
Say that again?
if we were to remove the 20,000 gallon cap, and if a user uses more than 20,000, in this one option, for example, at 25,000 gallons, that additional 5,000 gallons would generate us an additional revenue stream, in this case, up to $80 average bill.
How many users do we have that utilize over 20,000?
Over 20,000, we have 1,519.
4%.
4%.
So how did we come up with
On an
that
average.
max of 20? Well, we have a max of 25, but we only bill up to 20. Right.
The wastewater is based on 80% of water consumption.
That's the way we figure out our bill.
The way the rate ordinance reads is we will bill 80% of water consumption up to 25,000 water consumed. So 25,000 times 80% is 20,000 in wastewater.
Is that what other water wastewater providers do?
Some wastewater providers use an averaging method, winter averaging. Some do cap it at different levels. We had a 16,000 wastewater flow cap prior to our 2005 rate design. We increased it to 20. One of the reasons we have that cap is because we recognize that some residential customers do quite a bit of irrigation, outside irrigation, and perhaps a lot of the water isn't flowing back to the system for treatment. 20,000 is one of those, it was considered by our cost of service consultant, and as a matter of fact, they suggested that we remove the cap and not even have a cap. What we opted to do was to up the cap from 16 to 20, but promote the installation of irrigation meters. An irrigation meter would stand alone and just be billed for water.
Does that happen?
That is happening a little bit. We just probably need to be more proactive, and it's probably, with that cap, when you do a cost-benefit analysis, which some of the staff does for customers, the installation of a second meter, the customer may weigh his cost, whether it benefits to spend a couple of $1,000s or whatever it takes to install it, or whether he's benefiting from the 20,000 cap.
What's the downside to removing the cap?
It's an impact on the customer who uses way above the 20,000. So he sees a bill going from 68 to 80, for example. To us, it helps the revenue stream.
If you use more, you pay more.
Yes, right.
If
And
you
it
use
kind
less,
of coincides with the
if
water.
you use less, you pay less.
Correct. Or you.
On the average, John, what is it? How many utilities use a cap? Is that half or?
And I think the rate study that we just performed, they recommended we do away with that cap.
Yeah, I don't see the.
And we felt that maybe a little too harsh on the bills, that's why we left it in, but really it should come off.
Based on my experience, more utilities do the winter averaging, and the averaging during the winter months, where you can assume that most of the water use is internal use and not irrigation because it's winter, and then they average those 3 months and then apply the billing throughout the summer at a constant average level, that the user used during those winter months. The cap is seen with some utilities, but the more common approach is winter averaging. Any more questions?
No, thank you, Leon.
Okay. In this one case, if we remove the cap, of course, we would be billing for over 20, even though we realize a shorter revenue due to the 5% decrease. We would see a favorable, a positive net result in revenue impact of $55,000. Our intent here, of course, is not to make money, but so we could adjust these numbers a little bit more to maybe, if the cap was removed, provide a little bit more of a decrease, and make, get closer to zero or thereabout. Next, option 2, if we keep the cap at the 20,000 and we were to assume a 3% decrease, and this is just for comparative purposes, we'll get to the 5% in a minute. The 3% decrease would reduce the current 340 to 330 per 1,000 gallons. Leaving the commercial unchanged, this could result in a negative revenue stream of $353,157. For comparative purposes here, going to the 5% decrease, we would be adjusting the 340 down to 323 for all the customer base, since we only have one rate. This could generate or result in a revenue loss of $600,000. So you can see here where the cap is worth about $600,000. Removing the cap, we can stay positive. Leaving the cap, we could lose some money there. To achieve some type of revenue neutrality here at 5%, if we were to try to recoup or attempt to recoup the shortfall from our commercial customers, we would be looking at a 36 rate increase going from 340 to 376, or an 11% increase. And this would achieve some revenue neutrality. Now, one of the things that we just covered here is the fact that we have just one rate for everybody, all residential classes. If we were to consider something comparable to our water rate structure and have a two-tier, or at least more than one block, assuming here, for example, 0 to 7,000 first block and over 7,000 is the next block, just to show you the statistics here, we have 21,529 customers, or 57%, getting billed at 7,000 or less, and then 16,000 at 7,000 or more. A rate structure based on this type of breakdown, of course, the first row here shows the current rates. If we were to extend the 5% adjustment to the first block, 0 to 7,000, and leave the over 7,000 intact at 340, here again, without the cap, just for illustrative purposes here, it would be a gain of $259,000. And of course, as I mentioned, we're not here to make money out of this, but we could adjust here the percentage decrease or even the upper rate a little bit to achieve some type of revenue neutrality if we were to remove the cap. If we leave the cap in place, extending the 5% adjustment to that first tier at 323, leaving the second tier or the over 7,000 at 340, and everything, and the commercial rate unchanged, this could potentially result in a negative $430,852 revenues. And here again, as I mentioned, that cap is worth between $600,000, $700,000 in this case. So you see a swing from 259 positive to 430 negative. On the next option 7, if we try to achieve revenue neutrality by adjusting our commercial rate to recoup that negative revenue, leaving the first tier at 323, the second at 340, with that 5% only to the first tier, this would, and applying or recouping the difference or the shortfall from the commercial, would require a 26 cents adjustment per 1,000 gallons, or 8% to our commercial customers. Any questions on this? Another alternative here on the ranges, we discussed 0 to 7 and then over 7. If we were to bump it up on the first tier, 0 to 10, this would capture 77% of our customer base, or 29,127, and then the over 10,000 would represent 8,740, or 23% of our customer base. First option here, comparable option to the 0 to 7,000. If we extend the 5% decrease to the first tier at 323 and leave the second tier at 340, this and remove the cap, this could result in a positive revenues of 177 for illustrative purposes. If we were to leave the cap, extend the 5% to the first tier, 0 to 10,000, here again, which captures 77% of our customer base, and not adjust anything else, we're looking at a $513,340 revenue loss, potential revenue loss. Option 10, if we try to recoup, here again, bring the commercial customers into the formula to recoup the revenue shortfall, we would be looking at a 31-cent adjustment per 1,000 gallons, going from 340 to 371 for our commercial customers, or 9% or a 9% increase. These are the options that at least we can start with and have discussions with, and we'll be glad to take questions, look at other options, and perhaps try to respond to all questions, all concerns, clarify any points, any clarification, and hopefully through this workshop and any follow-up board discussions and commission discussions, we can get better direction on how we can proceed with this.
Leandro, just from my review of the information provided last night and today, I would think that there's still some other mathematical calculations or options that you can come up with where you're not necessarily placing it all on one or the other. You know what I'm saying?
That's correct.
In other words, maybe where it's 1 or 2 or 3% and 5 instead of 10 or 11 or 12 on one. I think there's still a lot of massaging of the numbers that you can do.
And one of the things that we can look at is really the bill impact. Is $1 here, $2 there, $5 there?
Right.
Where do we want to go with this? And
yeah, because it's a little hard to tell. For example, on the wastewater, you've got the rate of the non-residential at 340, and one of the last options, putting it all on that, is going up to 366. Well, to me that doesn't sound bad. It's an 8% increase, but I don't know what that translates to in dollars and cents.
Okay.
And then there's no increase on any of the other ones. You follow me? At the 8,000, I'm on the alternative wastewater options over 7,000. I'm just using that as an example. That one looks pretty good, actually.
Well, actually, on that one, yeah, without the cap, with the cap, it's
Option 7.
option 7.
That's with.
That's with the cap.
No, it's with the cap, right?
Yeah, and I don't give you a bill here on 366 for the commercial customers because they're broad.
Yeah. So yeah, it's
range.
With the cap,
It's based straight consumption. I mean, so.
yeah, that looks good too.
So.
Mayor, if you would go on the one you're talking about,
Yeah.
you're looking on a 7,000 gallon bill, $1.82. That's the difference, the 8%.
On who? For who?
On that 7,000, going from 340.
But who's that $1.82 difference for?
The 340 to 366 is 26 cents, and you multiply that by times the number of gallons, which would be 7,000.
Well, but the 366 is only for the residential.
366 is non-residential.
I'm sorry, non-residential. Excuse me.
Commercial.
The commercial rate.
So it added $1.82 to their bill. That's that's the whole impact on commercial. So it's
On
not
the
going to be a
commercial.
heavy impact on commercial.
No.
Yet we're going to save the low income.
That's the intent.
That's
That's
the-
what we'd
that's-
rather
It would
do.
be 26 cents to whatever the per thousand usage.
And that would be revenue. Yeah, that would be revenue neutral. That would get us to.
That's 182 per 3,000 gallons, right? Something like that?
Okay, how did you get the 182, Ernie?
Well, I took 26, from 340 to 366 is 26 cents, correct?
Right,
Times the number of gallons used, is that the difference? Isn't that how you,
correct.
so times 7,000 gallons? Let's say it's a 7,000 gallon bill.
Well, no, it's. Oh well,
No,
the commercial.
Commercial,
They use-
what's
they use-
the average?
you have some small commercial that use,
Yeah, so-
They use the
3,000,
same.
5,000, and some that use, 30,000,
On my particular
Maybe not
business,
that
we
much.
use maybe 3,000 gallons a month, so the impact would be minimal.
Correct.
You look a couple of dollars
Even
a
less
month on
than
the
that.
sewer and maybe a couple of
Yeah.
dollars on the water.
And it'd be even less.
Yeah,
That one looks pretty
It's
good.
that straight, it's that.
Option
simple.
seven.
simple.
Option 7 looks good on the wastewater. On the wastewater.
I think the big interest though, we talked about the 8 and the 5, and the mayor brought up last week about if there was a way to impact the low user even more. Maybe a combination of a rate increase and taking off the cap. Maybe, something that would help, and then, since we're trying to be revenue neutral, not make any money on this deal, that difference, you could bring it back down against the low volume user.
Correct.
follow-
If we take option 5 and try to adjust even further,
Exactly, where you're showing a 259,
we can change, we can affect both the under 7,000, over 7,000, and remain some type of revenue neutrality, but that's
problem is, that's
that's
what
if
the-
we remove the cap.
those are the people that get hit the hardest with their bills, the people under 7,000 gallons a month use.
Right, and under 7,000, you're talking, 43% 16,000. Well, you're talking everybody, well, hang on. Under 21%, 57%,
Yeah.
under 7,000, yeah. But if we were to adjust both tiers, of course, everybody benefits.
I think the important thing here that we come up with a proper number, and hopefully the PUB board will make, vote on it first and make a decision, to follow basically the rules like we're supposed to and not try to jump ahead of ourselves. I think we're heading in the right direction.
I think the other thing, you take some time to look at this, if you've got some other
Yeah,
scenarios.
we're gonna do it tonight, right?
We just tried to do as many as we could for tonight.
All right.
Mr. Mayor,
Zero in. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Robert.
I'm not sure I'm supposed to be speaking.
No,
since we don't have a
absolutely,
quorum,
absolutely.
But anyway, on the water options, option number 4, again, we're putting either all on one person or the upper 2 tiers. And so at the end of the meeting yesterday, I was kind of suggesting maybe putting a little bit on each tier 3 and 4 and commercial. Spreading
yeah.
it out.
And that's exactly.
We don't have that in this.
Right, and that's why I said, I think there's still some more numbers to work with the purpose of helping the lower tier as much as possible, and not necessarily putting it all on the upper tiers, but where we split it,
Right.
where we tier the tiers.
And we can address it, we know we have a shortfall of 411. If we want to say 100,000 made up by the third tier, 100,000 by the fourth tier, and then the balance by the commercial, we can work something out.
That might work out
to
better for
distribute the
everybody.
dollars, or if you want to approach them in percent basis, how much are you willing to decrease them by? We can try to adjust it as well. Now, one of the things I mentioned up front is that our goal here is to gain some validation and some concurrence from our financial advisor.
Well, that goes into the next question, which is the concerns that we discussed last week and also were raised last night. Where do we stand, or do we have a definitive answer? We probably don't yet, from bond counsel or from our FAs with regards to how we can do this without running afoul of any of our bond covenants or commitments.
I'll let Eduardo speak to that, but I myself have reviewed the bond ordinance, and based on how I've dealt with utility financing in the past, we do have a set application of gross revenues that is formula based. First we have to cover O&M, debt service, any reserve funds, etc. As long as we maintain our coverage requirements of 1.25.
As long as they're
That's
taken
done.
care of, as long as their bill is paid first, they're not necessarily going to have a problem. But what do we do with the rest of it? They're not as worried
Actual
about.
class and rate design, that's an internal
Right.
thing. As long as we demonstrate revenue or bond covenant and debt service coverage ability. Now, the official statement that we published when we went to market did have some statistical information that showed that we had historically or demonstrated our willingness to raise rates, and it reflected the rate increases from last summer, from '05. That it was part of the official statement, which lends credibility for as a bond perspective to bond buyers. But the actual ordinance, it's well defined as concerning the revenue streams, gross revenues, and debt service coverage. But if no one wants to add to that, or Eduardo, at this time?
Hey, we're not gonna vote on it tonight?
Good evening, Mayor and members of the Commission and members of the Board. My name is Noe Hinojosa with the Strino Hobson Company, and serve both the city and the system as financial advisor. I think, as Mr. Garcia said, methodology and process is important, and I think that the reason why you have a system that's got a credit rating of in the A category, is based on the history, is based on the way you have adhered to not only the bond contract covenants, or but also the way you've gone about implementing those rate increases. And just like you're contemplating to do something that you feel is right and is fair, and we don't necessarily disagree with it, I think you want to adhere to that process and to that methodology that you've used in the past to increase those rates. Short of you doing that and just coming up with a number, even with tonight's presentation, that still would not be sufficient, and it could make some of the lenders, some of the analysts and the rating agencies concerned about, okay, if you're doing this tonight, what could you possibly do 3 months from now? So what we want to do is achieve what your objectives are in a way that is expected of you as a rating credit that is well over what you would consider a menial credit. And you're an A credit, and it's a good credit, and you want to preserve it, because otherwise, if you don't preserve it, then you will have needs in the future. And those needs will conceivably can turn to be more expensive, which would then affect your ratepayer in the end. That's all we have to say.
So you're saying that it's gonna hurt our bond rating?
What I'm saying is that if you were to make a decision tonight that is not founded on methodology and process, that then, and because if it is a rate, even that is neutrally driven, that is, in other words, that it may cause no loss of revenue for that matter, is the methodology and process that will be questioned, and that because of the sense of urgency in some of you, and maybe all of you.
Let's try the whole community. I'm
That's
just trying.
fine.
Some of us. It's the whole community.
Let's say the whole community.
Yeah, the
There
whole
is a-
community.
There is a method and a process that you're expected to adhere to.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't go out and say, oh, guess what? I need $100 million today to go build a wastewater treatment plant.
Are we gonna do
Listen to me.
are we gonna do a study or what?
I think short of a study, I think what we need to do is just stay with this program and come back to you. Probably, I would say within a month, we can come back to you with a recommendation on that is substantiated on facts and substantiated on a study. This could be done pretty quickly.
Commissioner, I think, my feeling on this is we have to listen to those words very carefully. We can win this battle and lose the war if we're not careful. Those bond rating agencies, they're critical to the community, to our citizens.
Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, we did check with with regard to the bonds, and Lisa Adelman from Fulbright and Jaworski's here, and she said that the issues that I brought up last week with regard to the raising of those rates had been put in those documents, and that we don't have to adhere to them because they've checked with the Water Commission Board and bond, and we don't have to worry about those issues. But we still have to worry about the issues that were just mentioned.
Yeah, we don't want to cut off our nose to spite our face and end up costing us a lot more money down the road, everybody. So,
Those other issues, I think we're okay with.
okay, good. Any other questions? Sanchez, Mr. Guerra? All right, thank you all for being here with us this evening for this workshop. Oh, this is a workshop, sir. Okay. All right, anybody else have any questions? All right, we'll move on to the next item. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, guys.
Bob. Take care, Bob. Good luck.
Take it.
Take care, Bob. Thanks for being here.
We'll see you, man. Take it easy.
Ms. Barrera.
May I read that item, Mayor?
Yes.
Workshop item B, discussion regarding the Brownsville Community Improvement Corporation project funding recommendations for fiscal year 2007.
Again, I'm here this evening to present the projects that the BCIC Board is recommending to the City Commission for fiscal year 2007. Again, just a very brief overview of the corporation. It is a nonprofit corporation that provides quality of life projects.
Lena, you have 10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Skip it.
Go ahead and go up.
I'm sorry, but I don't want you to eat up all of this on your lead up again like last time. Let's get to the meat.
Go back. Just to go through the application process, the application FY 2007 were available September 5th and were due October 17th of 2006. Applications, again, were reviewed based on the criteria established both by the Development Corporation Act of the state and the fiscal year 2007 application guidelines that are developed by the board. There were committee meetings. The committee then made recommendations to the BCIC board. We held public hearings on November 20th in compliance with the law that is required for a 4B corporation. We are at this stage of the application process, which is the recommendations to the City Commission for approval. Based on what the City Commission approves, then we go into contract negotiations. Any of the projects can begin as soon as the contract is signed, and fund reimbursement for the contracted projects would begin after October 1st of 2007. Again, BCIC had a request totaling $2.4 million. The BCIC available project budget for the funding request was $578,588. The first project is City of Brownsville. It's for a park maintenance facility project. Again, the benefit here is cost savings in storage shelter rentals, an increase in the life of the maintenance equipment and vehicles. The amount is for $188,954. In this slide, you'll see the current facility that they use and also the storage units that they're currently renting. The second project is the Comprehensive Master Plan project. Again, the benefit is to assist in the planning costs associated with economic development projects. The amount is $170,636. In order to comply with the Development Corporation Act, we went through and extracted the different items that were eligible under the Act and put them into individual projects. And so what you'll see here broken down are the different areas, such as parks and related open space improvements projects, and then the different tasks and how much is allocated for each of the different tasks, which came up to the total I just previously mentioned. The City of Brownsville, the Brownsville Bark Park project, the benefit is a place
Say
where...
that 5 times fast.
Pardon me?
Say that 5 times fast.
It's a place where dogs can safely and legally play, exercise, and interact socially. Again, it promotes responsible dog ownership and makes it easier to enforce leash laws. This information was provided by the Health Department from information they gathered from different dog parks throughout the United States. The amount being allocated there is $53,500.
Well, let me ask you that 53,000, does that take away from the money we have going toward Merriman Road, that project, or what, or is that?
No, sir. That's separate. That's the $1 million that's going to the Merriman Road, and this is the balance of the monies, the $578 that was allocated for the funding projects, for the applications that came in.
Maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I've been told like that project, the Merriman project, is there money there?
There's money, but we have to find, we're working on trying to find additional funds. At this point in time, we'll be given an update soon to show at this point in time what areas we will be funding.
So we're gonna do a bark park thing, whatever, and not put that money back where it should be going for, yeah.
This is a separate account, if you will. Right. So you can understand it.
These are, yes,
It's a
separate funding
account.
that was allocated for funding applications that would come in.
And applications come into this, and they apply, and they're granted.
Thanks, man. Dr. Barrera, real
Yes, sir.
quick, how much was set for the Merriman Road?
$1 million.
$1 million. This is 53,000.
How long was, say it again, what was the question? What question, Jessica?
Road was set
Merriman
aside.
project
Merriman Road
has
project.
$1 million. This has 50.
Yeah, out of the
$53,000.
fiscal year 2007 budget, $1 million was allocated toward the Merriman Road. Again, some of the items that it will be used for is fencing, benches and fountains, obstacle course, and signage. Again, this is where the shelter is currently located. It is just to the left of the shelter, where in the master plan that was developed in the development of the shelter was allocated to develop for future development of this bark park. So you can see on that plan where it notates that. The next project is from the Brownsville Historical Association. It's Explore Historic Brownsville Tours project. Again, a benefit is to promote tourism at the historical sites of Brownsville through walking, driving, and video tours. The amount being allocated is $51,810, with a match that's being provided $42,914.
Where's the match coming from?
From the Brownsville Historical Association, in kind from different individuals and the organization itself who is donating time for a lot of the different aspects of the project. And so this gives you an idea of some of the brochures that are currently in existence that they currently hand out. An older one that used to be handed out of being able to do a tour of historic Brownsville with the definitions of all the different areas in historic Brownsville. Another project by the Brownsville Historical Association, again, this is done in conjunction with the City of Brownsville's Public Works Department and also the Management Information Systems Department. It's a historic city cemetery project. Again, the benefit here is to increase tourism and ensure the preservation of a historic site. Some of the items that are being funded here is for security, since that is considered the priority here, which is to do cameras and bulletproof lights. A continuous problem there is the shooting out of the lights in the cemetery. A little beautification, which includes trash cans and benches, and also to work toward doing a visitor center for the historic cemetery. Again, like I said, it's a joint project between the Brownsville Historical Association, the City of Brownsville Public Works, and MIS Department. And again, these are the lights that I'm indicating that have, and if you've gone out there, you can see where they've been shot out, and they are on a regular basis. The Gladys Porter Zoo, this is a free flight aviary restoration project, again, to prevent closure of a unique and popular zoo exhibit. The amount is $45,204.80. The match there is $40,407.19 being provided by the zoo. Although not as clear here, there's deterioration of the gates already occurring. Also in the very top in the rafters, it is all also starting to deteriorate. Again, as historically has been done with the zoo, they have been able to accomplish a lot of work with minimal funding by using in-house staff and doing a lot of the work themselves. Are there other
questions?
Any other questions?
See, you got it done. Thank you, Dr. Barrera.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next item.
Executive session, item A, discussion pursuant to section 551.072 of the Texas Government Code regarding real property. And item B, discussion pursuant to section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code regarding existing litigation styled Golden Spread versus City of Brownsville.
Mayor, I move we go in executive session.
Have a motion by Commissioner Zanetto, seconded by Commissioner Longoria. All in favor? Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Apologize for starting late. Our executive session ran a little bit long tonight. Let me ask at this time please to step forward from Cromac Elementary, Emilio Garza, a fourth grader, and Krista Quiros, a third grader. They're going to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance this evening.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one and indivisible.
All right, leading us in our invocation this evening is Pastor Darrell Mortala from First Baptist Church.
Let us pray. Sovereign Lord, we gather here tonight with the understanding that you know more about what is going on in our world than we do. It is only sensible for us then to ask for your presence in our midst so that we may do the right thing in the right way. We thank you that according to your word you have told us that you have great plans for us, plans that are for our good, plans that are for our happiness and our prosperity. We pray for these leaders whom you have chosen to bear the mantle of responsibility for us. We pray for how you will keep watch over them and guide them in your wisdom, that they may fulfill their responsibilities according to your will and your intent. We ask that you may give us the unity of your Spirit. Help us to come together and work for the same goals, for the benefit not only of ourselves in the present, but also for the welfare of our children and their children's children in the years to come. We thank you because you are generous. You are the one who protects us. You are the one who gives us a wonderful life. We ask that you may watch over our city, that we may always have peace. Give us your health and your safety. This we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Okay, we have two presentations this evening. First, the Market Square revitalization. Priscilla Rodriguez.
Priscilla asked me to do a little introduction about how we came up, this idea has evolved over the last 2 years. I'm
Larry, for the benefit of the viewing audience, would you introduce yourself?
Larry Loff, I'm president of the Brownsville Historical Association.
Thank you, Larry. You better put that mic up. You're a bit taller than the rest of us.
Hear me. I guess the story began about 2 years ago. We started looking around and realized that those of us that have archives and huge collections of valuable objects really had to do something to make sure that they survived in case of a hurricane or other disaster. This particularly became a critical issue after what we saw in New Orleans and in the Gulf states, where entire museums and hundreds of years of archives disappeared in some of these cities. Gene Balsh, who's back here, we started wandering around behind the Stillman house and all through the complex over there, wondering where we could possibly build some archives and collection vaults in order to store everything, just in case we had a Category 5 coming our general direction. Well, we couldn't find a place. There wasn't a place big enough without destroying some of the historic buildings that were already there or taking away some of the critical display space. So we began to look around for a way to take care of the priceless paintings and so forth, that, as well as the documents, the photographs, the fabric collection, all of those things that are stored there. About the same time, we also started talking about an important part of our history that has really never been covered well in this area, and that was the history of the river. We cross the river now and we see this little trickle of water going down the middle of the, it looks like a glorified drainage ditch at times. And we wonder why 150 years ago it was called the River of Destiny. Why the state of Chihuahua at one time said this river would take care of all the transportation needs for northeastern Mexico, and that was before Texas. Well, so what happened to the river? The river has disappeared, essentially. It's an amazing thing when we talk to young people and we talk about how at one time there were 30 or 40 riverboats working up and down the river all the way to Rio Grande City and far above on occasion. So that's hard to visualize when you look at the river today. So between the need for archives and storage and a need to kind of find a space to tell the story of the river, not just the river, how it divides us from Mexico, but how it brings us together. The river divides a common area with a common history, and there are many things that it ties us to, and the history has changed over the years. Well, we began to look around, and as you know, the Stillman Museum and the Brownsville Historical Association is in the densest part of downtown, and we realized that we lacked the ability to expand, and we started looking around for solutions. And I guess that's when common interests and shared needs and the right time, certain things come up at the right time, and I think this is the case that certainly happened here. The first thing we thought about is, oh, those wonderful vaults that were in the old City Hall, how we could use those vaults, or someone could use them to store archives, now that they're no longer used for the city documents. The other thing we began to think about is what was going to be the plan for Market Square, and how was it going to evolve, and how could we, since we're downtown and we share the Stillman heritage, since the Stillmans created the Stillman House, of course, and then created our museum, and then the Stillmans also were the ones that gave the city the Market Square. So there was a lot of synergistic points here that came into play. So at that point, we began to talk and visit among ourselves and visit about what the possibilities could be about our organization taking a role in how Market Square evolved. And at that point, I think I'd like to introduce Priscilla Rodriguez, who's the Executive Director of Brownsville Historic Brownsville.
Thank you, Mr. Love.
Brownsville Historical Association. Okay, so at this point, one of our main concerns was, because it's a heritage tourism attraction, we wanted to sort of look outside of the complex to downtown. We realized that the future of our museum really is tied in with the future of what happens with downtown. And so in talking several meetings with the city officials, we started to draw up potential plans for what could happen at Market Square. BHA would like to organize a capital campaign to raise the money to rehabilitate Market Square. So if you look at the bottom of first floor, the two empty vaults would then be put to use where it says archives. And another reason why the vaults are very crucial is because we're in a position, and this just happened within the last few weeks, to receive about close to 20 outstanding collections from Mexico City. They're outstanding collections, and part of the proposal would be that BHA would help this private Mexico City collectors organize exhibits that would travel throughout the United States, but the home base would be Brownsville. Now, there were some very, very valuable documents that Texas A&M, I think they mentioned they wanted some of these documents, but the family feels that they belong in the border region. We're talking illuminated manuscripts from colonial Mexico, all the documents of the Inquisition and documents pertaining to crypto-Judaism in Mexico from the 17th, 18th, and 19th century, colonial silver and gold. Some of these pieces have been on exhibit at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Tons of retablos, Mexican portraits from the 19th century, drawings of daily life and military life in miniature, colonial etchings, quite a few number of works by David Alfaro Siqueiros, who is considered one of the big three Mexican muralists, including works by Diego Rivera. And so they're looking for a place to...
The collections include works of Diego Rivera? Wow.
Yes, sir.
Siqueiros, and who else?
Siqueiros, Juan O'Gorman, Miguel Covarrubias. So when we're talking about the potential for tourism, tourism is the third largest industry in Texas, and Texas is the second most visited state in the country. And heritage tourism is the fastest growing segment of the tourism industry. People that visit for heritage-related purposes spend more money, and they stay longer in hotels. So when devising this, we propose 2 temporary gallery spaces where some of these works from this Mexico City collection would be displayed. The bottom would be called the Market Square Museum and Cultural Center, and the Market Square Museum would also have a permanent exhibit of the history of Market Square, how it evolved into city government offices. So we would still be capturing the history plus expanding a bit. And an essential component of that downstairs is the original El Mercado, which is this way. It's a huge section, and it would be designed to be business incubator / artisan co-op, where people that are interested in starting a business could do so at very, very low cost. And we feel that this combination of historic rehabilitation and economic development would really position the project to receive federal monies and various grants, and that's how BHA proposes to.
Priscilla, sorry to interrupt you, on the business incubator, any partnering with the university since they already have their own business incubator, or we're going to reinvent the wheel?
That's something that we could discuss down the line. This would be more retail oriented, and we're looking at crafts and items that are not already duplicated in the downtown area.
Much like the San Antonio Vita, yeah, good.
And we would have several residences where some of the people wouldn't pay rent. In exchange, they would then offer 4 hours a week to help staff the place, and that was one of the ways that we were going to address the staffing issue. And then the upstairs of it would be part of it would be the reinvented Public Safety Museum, which in our discussions with the city officials, that was what was decided would happen there in the portion that was the original fire and police department for the city of Brownsville. They were originally located there at Market Square. So it ties in historically. For the Rio Grande River, or Museo Rio Bravo, it will be a regional overview that focuses on the role of the river that it has played in history and the cultural influences of both sides of the border. And part of the River Museum, it's going to be a different type of museum. I don't know if y'all are aware of sort of the new type of museum is called the Experience Museum.
The interactive.
Because we're moving towards an experience economy where people want to visit a place, they want to experience. And so these type of museums are less collection-based and more focused on the 3D. I wouldn't want to say they're the Disneyland of museums, but in a sense they kind of are. They engage all the senses and would really focus on the experience of the river and the two nations that it joins together. So we think taken as a whole, its potential to impact downtown and tourism is incredible. I mean, it's limitless. Just being able to have some of these collections that we have, aside from our own personal collections that we already have, I think.
Any questions? Priscilla, I've had an opportunity to speak to you and to Larry and Mr. Kabler, and I know you spoke to some of the other commissioners. I think this is a wonderful opportunity for us to take something that we're not utilizing, at least not to its full maximum effect. And with the news that you bring here tonight, it multiplies that 10, 20, 30-fold with regards to the attraction that it could become because of the collection items that you're discussing. So that's a huge credit to you and to BHA. So I think hopefully we can figure out a way to make this all work and become another tourist attraction. We need more and more of them, and I think this would probably be at the top of the list along with so many of the other ones that we currently have. So, any other questions? If not, thank you for that presentation.
Thank you.
Charlie, the Employee of the Month.
Mayors, members of the commission, please help me welcome Regina Rios. Regina Rios works at the health department, and she actually works under the Animal Regulation and Care Facility. She's been working with the city since 2002. Her assets is she's very much motivated. She does very well with the public when they come see her. She cares for the animals deeply, and she has really progressed in the 4 years she's been with us. She has gained promotion in that time, and helps train our new employees that work with her at the facility. So we're much proud of her, and as you know, she was not able to attend the last commission meeting, so we'll make her eligible for the next banquet.
Is that how that works? Okay, all right, good.
So as the employee of the month for December, she gets a day off with pay. Of course, she gets the cap. And the designated employee of the month.
Thank you.
For December. And of course, our plaque. And Josh is playing hooky today, but he promises to take her to lunch.
All right.
Congratulations.
All right, item 2.
Item 2, consent agenda items A through B.
So moved to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Nettles, seconded by Commissioner Camarillo. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 3.
Item 3, consideration and action to appoint one member and one alternate member to the Building and Standards Commission.
Mayor, members of the City Commission, the Buildings and Standard Commission Board has 2 vacancies. One is a regular member and the other one is a alternate. And each vacancy is for a 2-year term. And I believe Commissioner Arroyo and Commissioner Cisneros have their appointees.
Yes, that's right. I would like to nominate Hugh Emerson as the regular member.
A motion by Commissioner Arroyo, seconded by Commissioner Camarillo. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
And the other nominee is Mike Garza.
Have a motion by Commissioner Cisneros, seconded by Commissioner Atkinson. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 4.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 4, consideration and action to appoint or reappoint 3 members to the Brownsville Community Improvement Corporation.
Mayor, Commission, we have 3 appointments for tonight. The appointments are Commissioner Hernandez, Commissioner Camarillo, and Commissioner Longoria.
Ma'am, I think, the first thing, Mayor, of course, I think the most important thing, we're losing 2 former commissioners that are rolling off, so I think it's really important to put 2 current commissioners, and my appointment would be to put Commissioner Carlos Cisneros.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hernandez to appoint Commissioner Cisneros, seconded by Commissioner Camarillo. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Commissioner Camarillo?
Mayor, I wanted to appoint Paulita Rico.
We have a motion by Commissioner Camarillo, seconded by Commissioner Arroyo. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
And I want to nominate Charlie Atkinson.
Motion by Commissioner Longoria,
Second?
second by Commissioner Hernandez. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 5.
Item 5, public hearing and action on ordinance number 2006-1469, authorizing the issuance of City of Brownsville, Texas Utilities System Junior Lien Revenue Bonds, Series 2007, providing for the payment of the principal and interest on the bonds by a junior lien on and pledge of the net revenues of the city's combined utility system on a parity with certain currently outstanding obligations, providing the terms and conditions of such bonds, and resolving other matters incident and relating to the issue, payment, security, sale, and delivery of such bonds, including the approval of a sale to the Texas Water Development Board, authorizing the execution of a paying agent registrar agreement, complying with the requirements of the Depository Trust Company's Letter of Representations, complying with the regulations promulgated by the Texas Water Development Board, enacting other provisions incident and related to the subject and purpose of this ordinance, and providing for an effective date.
Leandro.
Mayor, Commissioners, my name is Leandro Garcia. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for Brownsville PUB. On November 14th, the Texas Water Development Board completed a financing package for wastewater improvements BPUB has undertaken in the Valle Hermoso, Valle Escondido, and El Salado, EDAP, Colonia areas. The final piece of the financing package for a total $1.7 million included an additional grant portion of $1.5 million and $207,000 in loan monies for cumulative grant to Brownsville for the wastewater improvements of $4,841,637 with a loan component of $601,000. We are seeking authorization today to proceed with issuing junior lien revenue bonds for the $601,000. Our board approved a resolution yesterday evening concurring with the issuance, so your authorization is hereby requested to proceed with the issues.
All right.
So moved.
Second?
Hold on a second real quickly. This is a public hearing?
I'm sorry.
Move to
All
close.
right. Motion to close by Commissioner Longoria, seconded by Commissioner Camarillo. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Action.
Again, so moved.
Motion to
Second.
approve by Commissioner Hernandez, seconded by Commissioner Arroyo. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item.
Item 6, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 2006-1470, which provides for the adoption of a program for economic development as authorized by sections 378 and 380 of the Texas Local Government Code, providing for the establishment of neighborhood empowerment zones, sales tax revenue sharing agreements, and such other economic development measures as deemed necessary by the City Commission per applicable state law.
Mayor, members of the City Commission, this subject arose in the context of our economic development package that we did with Lowe's. The statute permits us to establish a program which sort of standardizes the city's review process for any type of economic development proposal. This would include tax incremental reinvestment zones, even municipal utility districts, in particular neighborhood empowerment zones. This was copied largely from the model that's used in Galveston. It's been very successful there. It really is required for the city to adopt some sort of a program in order to consider and evaluate these types of proposals in a consistent basis. Other cities have actually even gotten their economic development corporations to kind of go along with these things, so that when their applicants, for example, Taylorcraft or Titan or someone of that sort, they could actually make the proposal through the city as well. There would be a committee consisting of the city manager's office, staff, and myself, and other members that would also evaluate the applications and make reports to the City Commission.
I have one question. Is that going to be specific for Lowe's, or will it be for any other entity that moves into that area?
For any area. It would be for any economic development proposal that's presented to the city. A TERS.
I see. So this isn't just a zone where Lowe's
Correct.
is?
No, it would be for citywide.
Have a policy so that next time
Policy,
something
okay.
else comes in, who wants to do something, we've kind of got.
Not like an economic development zone?
Yeah, anywhere.
It would permit,
It would permit TERS?
well, it would be, a TERS would have to apply to the city through this ordinance and present the information that the ordinance requires. I think you should have gotten a copy of it. I don't know if you had a chance to review it or not, but it would, they have to demonstrate that how they would affect perhaps tourism, job creation, environmental concerns, things of that sort.
Jim, did you already discuss this with BEDC?
I have not, no, sir.
Since this obviously is going to, I think we ought to have them part of the process. I think it's a good idea, but I think they need to be part of the process. So why don't we continue or table? Continue?
Table.
We can, since it is a public hearing, then we can continue the public hearing. This was designed just to present to you all preliminarily, just for your thoughts.
And I think it's a good idea. I think developing the framework is beneficial, but if it's going to affect a group, and obviously here, our economic development group, I think they need to be part of it that way.
Absolutely.
If they have any concerns or, anything to make it better, then I think that ought to be part of that, so.
That's good.
All right, so, we're gonna, do you have a motion?
Make a motion to table this, or
Motion to
continue
continue the public hearing by Commissioner Hernandez.
First meeting in January.
Seconded by Commissioner Nettles. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Jim. Item 7.
Item 7, consideration and action to authorize an amendment to ordinance number 2005-983-Z that modifies the current rate structure by reducing the current rates for general water and sanitary sewer wastewater services for residential customers and implements other necessary modifications to the existing rate design consistent with existing legal obligations and as permitted by applicable governing law.
Mayor, this was placed on the agenda in the event that the commission was able to get far enough along to actually have concrete recommendations as far as amending rates or changing rates.
Mr. Goza, based on the meeting we had with PUB earlier, wouldn't it be reasonable to send this back to PUB, let them come, the administration come up with recommendations, let the PUB vote on the best rate possible for the low income or the low water user, and then come back to us.
Let them make the recommendation the way it's supposed, the way we normally do it.
I think that's the correct procedure to follow, yes, sir.
All right.
So we should table this? Would that be your recommendation?
I would recommend tabling it until they've made a recommendation to the commission, because they have to take into account, as you've heard,
So
bond
moved.
ratings and other
Second.
issues.
All right, motion to table by Commissioner Hernandez, seconded by Commissioner Arroyo. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 8.
Item 8, consideration and action to authorize the city manager to execute a fee agreement with the Dallas-based firm of Diamond McCarthy regarding damage claims for specific performance and delays associated with the transfer of power generation facilities.
Mayor, members of the City Commission, this has been discussed. My recommendation would be to authorize the retention of the firm, subject to negotiation of the fee agreement by either Mr. Kabler or myself, with instructions that they not proceed or take any action until consulting with the City Commission.
A motion to deny this request?
There's a motion to deny. All right, it dies for lack of a second. I would suggest that we table this. Jim, I think there's been some
Second,
questions
yeah,
or
table.
concerns, or, not necessarily for or against, but, and it may be a short table, but I think there's still some concerns that the commission has with regards to moving forward at this point in time.
Second.
Motion and seconded by Commissioner Longoria. I'm sorry, the motion was by Commissioner Neto, seconded by Commissioner Longoria. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Items tabled. Item 9.
Item 9, consideration and action to rename Chachalaca Park to Charles Martin Cabler Park.
Yeah, we put this on the agenda. Basically, this whole goal of ours was to move Central Avenue Park. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Central Avenue in Boca Chica. There's a park right in the corner. There's no parking. The kids are put at a risk because there's no parking. Balls go in the street. We just see that as a big hazard when trucks go through Boca Chica right next to that park. So we put something on the agenda to move that park to Chachalaca Park. And I took it a step further and found out what Chachalaca Park was about, stuff like that. Interviewed different people, talked to different people about this park, and I received a letter and I wanted to read it. And there's a person who's lived on that Chachalaca Park area for the last 67 years by the name of Charles M. Kabler. Yes, he's related to our city manager, but that had no bearing because when I went out there, I found that this man's been living there for over 67 years. There's a dirt road that goes 2 feet from his house into this park, and he never complained about it. He just, hey, kids want to play, they go right through my house. He offers some land there too, and I want to read this letter. It's from an ex-mayor. I don't even know who he is, Mayor Vickers. He came forth. Vickers. And I want to read this letter. It was nice to hear from this man who knew that I was searching for somebody to rename this park after. And it says, Charlie Kabler family moved to Brownsville during the year of 1926. After Charlie Kabler came down to Brownsville on a train which brought prospective land purchasers from Meridian, Texas area. There were 2 other people who joined this trip from Meridian, Texas to Brownsville. They were George Marshall Vickers and George Smith. After looking over the area, all 3 decided to move here. Charlie Kabler decided to purchase land in the river area along the Rio Grande River. George Marshall Vickers located in the El Jardín area, and George Smith opted to settle north of Las Puertas along Military Highway. All 3 were engaged in farming operations and had bought their farm implements, mules, and horses to Brownsville by train. The older sons of each family, which Charlie M. Kabler was a part of, rode the trains with the animals to feed and water them while en route from Meridian, Texas to Brownsville, Texas. Charlie Kabler was one of the pioneers to the area and engaged in the farming business, raising vegetables, cotton, and grain. He would take his produce as far as San Antonio to the farm markets for sale. by truck. He became a leader in the military highway area community, involving himself in community affairs early on, and involving all his sons in the family farming operation. Charlie Kabler was indeed an early settler to the region. All three principals cut the brush and cleared the land. And if you meet this man, he's just a common man. He's been a shrimper, he's been a bus driver, and just a very humble man. And I'm glad I met him. And for that reason, I would like to rename Chakalaka Park to Charles Martin Kabler Park.
Second.
Where's Mr. Kabler?
He's not here.
Charlie, what do you think?
Mayor, we are talking about my dad, so I think the highest of him. He's the greatest man that's ever lived. I'm very humbled by this, and really he doesn't even know about this, nor does my family. I'm honored that it's even a request.
Let me ask this question, Charlie, and Commissioner Longoria did this with regards to Gonzalez. We renamed a section of it, okay? I thought, instead of renaming the entire park, that it would be nice to rename an area and call it Kabler's Cove inside Chachalaca Park.
Whatever the commission...
that's a suggestion.
It's a nice idea.
Exactly. But I'm going to stick with my motion
we have
to
a motion.
rename Chakalaka Park to Charles.
There's a motion by Commissioner Atkinson,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Longoria. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 10.
Item 10, consideration and action. Item 10, consideration and action regarding the Brownsville Community Improvement Corporation funding recommendations for fiscal year 2007.
Mayor and Commission, this is the workshop that I presented earlier on the recommendations by the BCIC Board to the City Commission for projects.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Arroyo, seconded by Commissioner Nettles. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 11.
Thank you.
Item 11, consideration and action on resolution number 2006-072 to provide book allowance scholarships to full-time City of Brownsville employees who are classified below the level of a director's position to further their education goals.
Commissioner Camarillo?
Mayor, I'd asked Speaker Gonzalez to place this item on the agenda. Basically, it's been a little bit about over a year that I've been working on this issue on a road trip with the city manager to McAllen one day. I asked what incentives does the city of Brownsville do for its employees that want to seek higher education, or just those that are taking college. Is there any incentive that we do to help them out? And which I said, well, no, we haven't come up with that yet. As I started devising a plan, and I wish I could have brought it sooner to the commission, I started thinking, well, if we could provide a small incentive in forms of a book scholarship to those that apply, and those that are eligible to apply. We look at other entities that have incentives for their employees that want to take classes, whether it be for an associate's degree, for a bachelor's degree. Big entities, PUB, and others. Why can't we do that with the city? So I put this resolution together. I think it's important. I think this resolution states a number of things, but what it does, I think most importantly, is that it says City of Brownsville supports higher education in Brownsville. 2, it wants to allow incentives for its employees that want to better themselves, in whichever direction they may want to go. And then 3, it allows for not only a better employee, but it allows for a better community in Brownsville. Ultimately, helps everyone. And so I thought, as this becomes in its infancy stages, I thought as a small incentive that we'd allow for 4 semesters, allocate $8,000. It'd be 20. There'd be 20 book scholarships for each 4 of those semesters, which would be a $100 scholarship for those that apply. If only 10 apply and 10 get it, those funds would get reverted back into the general fund, where the monies would be coming from. But it's a first step to saying we want to help our employees. Now, some may say that $100 may not go very far, but if there's a city employee and they're working 8 to 5, and all they can afford is to take that one class because they're thinking of the family and everybody else who's taking care of the kids, that $100 will pay for that book. and go a very, very long way to helping them achieve their goal, which is to get that education and, again, better themselves and better this community. So
Commissioner,
I would ask this city commission to support this resolution because I believe it supports all of our employees bettering
That's,
themselves.
It's a
Commissioner,
wonderful,
I'd
it's a
like
wonderful suggestion.
I'd like to second this motion because I think anything that has to do with higher education and promoting our city employees from within to give them that extra push, I'm all in favor of. So I think it's a great idea.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Before you choose to adopt?
Go ahead.
Does this include civil service and non-civil service employees, or is this only for our non-civil service?
This would be for our non-civil service.
Non-civil service?
Yeah.
Well, actually,
I think they might have something under the contract for the.
both police and fire have a similar provision.
They already have an incentive like this.
It's been a real success for those agencies.
Yeah.
Just on that note, I met 2 students that are in the academy at the ITech, which have already, out of the 17, 11, I believe, were picked up by Brownsville PD, which just says, Brownsville PD is assisting them now, and what they would have paid $1,300, $1,400 for their academy, now that's being paid, and now they're hired, so.
All right, so we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Camarillo, seconded by Commissioner Nettles. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Non-civil service employees.
That's correct.
All right, next item.
Thank you all.
Item number 12, consideration and action to adopt budget amendment resolution number 2006-073 to amend the general fund by $8,000 to provide funding for the book allowance scholarships
Didn't we just do that
to
one?
full-time City of Brownsville employees who are classified below the level of a director's position.
Well, it's not the same thing, huh?
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Commission, we recommend that you approve this budget amendment.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Hernandez, seconded by Commissioner Nettles. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item.
Item 13, consideration and action to authorize the use of Washington Park from
So move to approve. They always do a great job.
We gotta let her,
from February
we gotta
19
let her finish
through
reading it.
25, 2007, for the Sombrero Festival, authorizing the sale and consumption of
Well,
alcoholic
go ahead,
beverages.
come on up. You do your presentation. I threw it out there
February-
because you guys do a great job every year.
From February 22nd through 24th, 2007, during festival hours, authorizing the closure of Adams Street between 7th and 9th Street, and permission to use the parking along Madison Street between 7th and 9th Streets for Sombrero Festival vendor parking.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I introduce you to this very successful Sombrero Fest people.
Don't mess it up, Roy.
And the dog ate my jacket on the way up here tonight.
Mayor, Commissioners, I'm Roy de los Santos Jr., Vice President of Special Operations for Sombrero Festival. On behalf of our President, Sandra Herrera, our Board of Directors, and our Chairman, David Musso, I thank you for the opportunity to come before you this evening. And as read by our City Secretary, we'd like permission to use Washington Park, permission to serve alcohol during the festival and the streets that we normally use as we did in the years past. If it so pleases the Commission, as we feel it's a benefit to the city and the nonprofit organizations that benefit from our work.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Nettles, seconded by Commissioner Camarillo. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Keep up the
Item
good work,
14.
guys.
Thank
Keep up the good work. Good luck. Hope Mother Nature helps.
Yeah.
Item 14, consideration and action to authorize an interlocal cooperation agreement between the Cameron County Regional Mobile Authority and the City of Brownsville to provide international advisor services for the West Rail project.
Yeah. Hey,
Good evening, Pete.
Hi, Ty.
Johnson.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. As you all know, we've been working on the West Road relocation project for a number of years now, and we've made a substantial amount of progress over the last couple of years. On the U.S. side, we've got the project, the rail line itself is about 90% complete with the design and the engineering. On the international bridge itself, the U.S. side, which in this case Cameron County, who is the sponsor, is responsible for designing and engineering the entire international bridge. That's about 40% complete, and the reason for that is just like we did in Los Tomates. Right now, the U.S. levee and the Mexican levee are 4,400 feet apart, and the U.S. and the Mexican section of the International Boundary and Water Commission allow you to have those levees 2,300 feet apart. So there is room on the Mexican side to relocate the levee, and in doing that, we will reduce substantially the cost of the bridge, because instead of having a bridge in excess of 4,400 feet, it'll be closer to about 2,500, 3,000 feet. So that lowers the cost of the construction of the bridge substantially. The total cost on the U.S. side for the project is $26 million. And as you all know, recently we received $13 million from the Texas Department of Transportation. We've got $6.5 million that over the years we've gotten federal funds. Union Pacific, if you all recall, early on the project, we had an agreement with Union Pacific that when the rail line would be vacated, they would sell that right-of-way to either the Texas Department of Transportation or to Cameron County. We've got that value more or less at about $4 million. And then the city of Brownsville had bond proceeds in the amount of $1.9 million that city had for 6th and 7th Street project. City got an opinion from bond counsel that they could utilize those funds for the rail relocation project. And at that time, we came before the city because the city had money for the West Rail project, but it didn't have any funds for the East Loop project. And the county had money for the East Loop project, but we didn't have money for the West Rail project. So we did an interlocal with the city, and we swapped money. So the county is paying for technical studies and right now an environmental assessment on the East Loop that's ongoing. And then the city has been paying for some of the technical studies and some of the coordination on the West Rail project. So what we're here tonight before you is requesting an interlocal agreement with the Regional Mobility Authority. HNTB Corporation, who is designing the project for Cameron County, is also the general engineering consultant for the Regional Mobility Authority. And so our request is for a 15-month contract with HNTB, total cost of $186,579, and this would allow us to continue the coordination with the Mexican agencies, primarily SILA, Comisión Nacional de Agua, and CABIN, INDEVIN. Those are primarily the agencies that we deal on a daily basis and coordinate the project. We feel that the 15-month is ample time for us to design the project once we get the proper approvals from the Mexican agencies. The Regional Mobility Authority is probably the authority that's handling most of the major transportation projects in Cameron County. We're handling the North Rail relocation project in the Harlingen-San Benito area, and we've worked very closely with the Texas Department of Transportation in establishing the rail plan for the entire state of Texas. Our projects, both West Rail and North Rail, have been utilized by the state as models for projects in other areas. So RMA is also handling the extension of FM 509 in the Harlingen-San Benito area. We're going to start working on a second causeway project from South Padre Island to the mainland. So that's one of the reasons why we want to utilize the Regional Mobility Authority. One of our directors, Victor Alvarez, is with us tonight. So if there's any questions, I'll entertain them at this point.
Anybody have any questions?
I move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Longoria, seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Arroyo. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners.
Good luck. Pastor. Next item.
Item 15, consideration and action to authorize an offer of just compensation for the acquisition of 3 parcels of property for Part 150 program, those being 1.39 acres, more or less, of land southeast corner of California Road and Illinois Avenue, 7.24 acres, more or less, of land west side of Indiana Avenue, just south of California Road, and 3.35 acres, more or less, of land east side of Illinois Avenue, just south of California Road.
Mayor, members of the commission, we're asking for your authority to make the initial formal offer to purchase these 3 properties. It is important to carrying out the airport's Part 150 noise mitigation program. We do anticipate further negotiation with regard to these purchases.
Any questions? Motion to approve by Commissioner Camarillo, seconded by Commissioner Arroyo. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item 16, consideration and action to authorize a contract with URS Corporation to update the Brownsville South Padre Island International Airport's Part 150 noise mitigation program.
The purpose of this item is to request City Commission action on an amendment to the existing contract with the firm of URS to perform an update to the airport's Part 150 program as requested by the FAA. This program implements the process of acquiring property to reduce noise impacts within a 65 decibel noise level at the airport. This update has been requested by the FAA and is funded 95% by the FAA with 5% through PFC funds. Total cost is $320,600, and upon completion should position the airport to receive about $1 million each year in Part 150 funds.
Move to approve?
Motion approved by Commissioner Arroyo, seconded by Commissioner Longoria. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item.
Thank you.
Item 17, consideration and action to accept the 2003 CIP Street and Drainage Contract Number 3 project and to release retainage and final payment to G&T Paving Incorporated.
Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, this is a CIP project that has been completed. All the work has been done.
Approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Longoria, seconded by Commissioner Camarillo. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Lass. Next item.
Item 18, consideration and action to accept the 31st year Community Development Block Grant street and pavement improvements for West 10th and West 17th Street project and to release retainage and final payment to G&T Incorporated.
Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, this is another, it's a CDBG project.
So moved.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Fernandez, seconded by Commissioner Camarillo. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item.
Item 19, consideration and action to accept the 2003 CIP Street and Drainage Contract Number 4 project and to release retainage and final payment to Peterson Construction Company.
Honorable Commissioners, this is another CIP project that has been completed.
Approve.
Motion to approve by
Second.
Commissioner Longoria, seconded by Commissioner Camarillo. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 20.
Item 20, consideration and action to request approval of Carter and Burgess contract amendment to include additional services for property acquisition and relocation assistance services.
Mayor, Commissioners, the downtown multimodal terminal project is about to enter the next phase of development, which will include site acquisition, relocation assistance, final design, and preparation of the construction documents. Contract Amendment Number 2 will provide turnkey services of the Pinnacle Group to manage the negotiation acquisition of 12 parcels and the relocation assistance for 23 businesses currently located at the site. Pinnacle's experience in land acquisition and relocation for other FTA-funded transit projects will ensure that federal requirements are met and protect the city's ability to use federal financial assistance in the project. FTA recommends the use of such consultant services for acquisition relocation projects. Pinnacle is currently preparing the relocation assistance plan under Contract Amendment Number 1.
Any questions?
Our recommendation is your consideration and action to authorize a mandatory agreement number 2 to include additional services for property acquisition and relocation assistance services for the Brownsville Multimodal Transportation Terminal with Carter and Burgess, Inc., Dallas, Texas.
Move.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Longoria, seconded by Commissioner Nettles. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item.
Item 21, consideration and action to award a term contract for uniform rental services for various city departments.
Honorable Mayor and Commissioners, the Purchasing Department has solicited a proposal for this particular service. It's important to point out to you that this is the first time that we're endeavoring to go into a rental agreement on a large scale. We've been test marketing this at our aviation department, and we have come up with a few interesting findings. Excuse my voice. Some of the advantages to this rental program is that cleaning and replacements are included in the rental cost, saving this cost currently borne by the employees. Furthermore, the city would not lose the investment in purchased uniforms when employees leave employment. As I said, we've been testing this at aviation and it is working, and more importantly, it's more cost effective to rent the uniforms than it is to purchase them. So our recommendation is you award this term contract to G&K Services of Coppell, Texas. The amount is $38,035.40, and that will be split between the two departments of Public Works and Public Health.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Fernandez, seconded by Commissioner Camarillo. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
All right, we have 2 public comments. Mr. Ruiz?
On your pens.
Good evening, Commissioners and Mayor and ladies and gentlemen. I would first like to address Article number 5. You didn't give me a chance to even lift up my hand. This was for public discussion. And I had a question I wanted to participate. So can we open up on number 5? Because I want to conserve my 3 minutes.
You have 3 minutes, sir.
Well, first of all, it's wrong, and no more bonds, you know. We're tired of you putting your pocket, your money into, hands into our pockets. No more bond money. We have to answer the questions of why Mr. Hernandez.
You can't address a commissioner directly.
Sir?
You cannot address a commissioner
Oh, well,
directly.
then I want to say, correct that and say, I wonder
Actually,
why then.
Mr. Reese,
whenever.
Mr. Reese, you asked to speak on the impact fees. You have your time to
Yeah,
speak on the impact fees.
The impact fees.
Let's get back to that.
Well, there's so many things we have to address. Article 375.161, I will read it to you so that the public can be aware of what's happening. We have thousands and thousands of dollars being spent on opinions given by attorneys. And I always seem to go and do my homework because I'm concerned about what's going on in this community. Complete disregard for the poor and the underprivileged. You're supposed to protect the public trust, but election time is coming around. We already visited with the county. Next time around, I would like to read the article. The item, local government, Article 375.161. Certain residential property exempt from impact fees. I brought this to attention of a commissioner. I brought it to the attention of the bishop of the Public Utility Board, and nobody seems to want to tread water on this issue. The board may not impose an impact fee, assessment, tax, or other requirements for payment, construction, alteration, or dedication under this chapter on single-family residential property, duplexes, triplexes, and quadruplexes. Somebody needs to do their homework because the people here are fed up with the irresponsible conduct of this commission. And I will tell you, sir, that I do not work for the city. And I was present when Article 5 came around, and I was not given the privilege to discuss subject matter. No more bonds. I make this an issue. Place the item on referendum and let the people of Brownsville, the ones that you're supposed to be representing, vote on the issues. No more decisions by this commission concerning the monies of the public.
Mr. Reese, can you give me a copy of that? I want a copy.
You can discuss it with him
Give me a
afterwards.
copy later, please.
Next item.
Sir.
Please give me a copy. I'd like a copy.
You have an attorney there.
Mr. Carlos Gonzalez, item 2.
I'm very tired. My name's Carlos Gonzalez. I apologize. I just wanted to remind you that I'm still trying to get a revision or amendment to the taxi cab ordinance. And I brought you a copy of the ordinance and an amendment that was done a couple of years ago regarding the age of the vehicles. So, by the way, there's something in the ordinance that you might want to use for other things, like according to the taxi cab ordinance 106.31 section D, fighting, loud and abusive language, including unnecessary and boisterous conduct on the part of taxi cab drivers, while, you know, it constitutes grounds for suspension. You might want to include that, to use that for city commission meetings. It's a suspension for 6 months, so the person wouldn't be, I don't know. I just thought I'd mention that.
Thank you, Mr.
Good luck to you all.
Gonzalez.
Merry Christmas.
All right. This being the last meeting of the year before we celebrate the holidays, I'd like to ask and give the opportunity to the commissioners to express their holiday wishes to our constituents, and we'll start over here with Commissioner Hernandez.
Oh, thank you. First of all, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and hopefully a great 2007. It's been an incredible year for the city. I've never seen the city grow in such magnitude. It's just been an incredible year. I said the other night at the Christmas party that the seven of us get the credit for all the good that happens in the city, but none of this could be done, without our city employees and staff that we have to basically manage the money, balance the budget, and keep us all in check. To the public, I hope it's a great year for all of y'all. It's been a great year for all of us, and I wish you all the best for 2007. Thank you.
Mr. Arroyo?
Thank you. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all of you. I just look around Brownsville and I thank you, the citizens, for making this community what it is. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to set policy, and growth and development in our city is just booming and busting, it seems. So next year, we're going to have much better, expressways will be clearer, and traffic will ease up. It'll be even better than this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Camarillo.
I want to wish everyone here on the commission Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I also want to do the same for our staff and the people of District 4. I hope you all are safe and really enjoy the holiday season. I think it's important to note that, as Commissioner Hernandez said, about maybe some of the little things that we do, but some of the greater things that our staff does. I've always told people that it's really not me doing what we do, it's really the staff. Without the people working day to day and giving it their all year after year, our city, I don't think it could be anywhere near where it's at. So to all the families and all of our staff that work and everything they do with the city, I want to tell them Merry Christmas, and I hope they enjoy the new year. I look forward to another prosperous new year, to do the job that the people want us to do, and hopefully do it to the best of our abilities. And people always ask me, how do you like it? How do you like being on the commission? I said, I love what I do. It's not every day where you can wake up and say, I get to help somebody. I hope to continue to do that year after year. So thank you all very much, and have a happy holiday season.
Commissioner Nettles?
Mayor and Commissioners, and everyone in the public, and to all city employees, on behalf of myself and the Cisneros family, want to wish each and every one of you a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Also, let's keep in mind all those, both men and women, all those soldiers that are out there fighting for us, for our freedom. Let's keep them in our prayers during this holiday season. De parte de la familia Cisneros y de mi parte, quiero desearle a todos los empleados, a todas las familias de la ciudad de Brownsville, a los comisionados, al alcalde, una feliz Navidad y un próspero año nuevo, y que siempre hay que recordar durante estos tiempos especiales de rezar por todos los soldados, hombres y mujeres que están peleando por todos nosotros. Gracias. Thank you.
Mr. Atkinson?
I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. It's been a great year. It's going to get a better year, like Ms. Arroyo said, and I'm sure all of us here agree that Brownsville's on its way to being a great place to live. It is a great place now. It's going to be a lot better place. I wish I could say in Spanish, maybe Carlos later can translate, pero Feliz Navidad, Prospero Año, and take care of your families, and those of you who have to work on Christmas and New Year's, my heart goes out to y'all, and please, know that we care about y'all while you're working, right?
Commissioner Longoria?
De mi parte quiero desearle una feliz Navidad a todos los empleados, a toda la gente de nuestra ciudad, de nuestra comunidad. Que Dios los bendiga a cada uno de ustedes y a sus familias, y que recordemos siempre que esta temporada no es de lo material, no es de estar en familia y celebrar con uno en otro, y recordar que la temporada es en realidad la celebración de nuestro Señor y estar entre familia y entre amigos. Y bendiciones para todos, y que Dios los bendiga a todos. Feliz Navidad.
Wow. Thank you, Commissioner. I guess maybe you can translate too. Ladies and gentlemen, citizens of Brownsville, we are honored to serve you as your city commission. We are also very, very mindful of the heavy responsibility that you have placed upon each one of us as elected officials. In every meeting we have, I know that every commissioner and myself takes that responsibility to heart. While we may not always agree, and we may get a little excited about our views, I know that everybody's intention here is always for the benefit of the entire city. With that in mind, on behalf of my family, I want to express a very, very safe and happy holiday season, and Merry Christmas, and a very prosperous New Year to each and every one of you. Again, I want to congratulate all of the employees of the city of Brownsville and every worker we have in this entire city, because each and every one of you is making this city go. It's making us grow. It's evidenced by the unbelievable growth that we're having in our city. And I also want to give out a special thanks to our public safety departments, our police, fire, and emergency, for that recent rating that we had of being one of the safest cities in the entire country. It speaks well of them, and I think it speaks well of each of our families. So with that said, we know that we think Brownsville's the greatest place to live, but we know we can do better. So with God's blessings and a lot of hard work, we're going to continue to reach those goals. May God continue to bless you and each of your families. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.